how do you look at that from someone that thinks either A, they want to become an entrepreneur, they want to go the business route, and they might not have, any of these opportunities. Is there a way for them to put themselves in a place where they can get exposure to some of this stuff at an, earlier age?
Yeah. Well, you mean like earlier in your 20s or earlier like in high school or even younger?
I don't know, a teenager that realizes they want to become an entrepreneur but don't have family members or anyone like that they could reach out to.
I
Yeah.
would, I would, I would also say, maybe for the sake of this audience, because I don't know how big our teenage demographic is. Like, if they are coming out of college, for instance, right now, that's kind of where the bread and butter of our audience is. Like, what would you give to them?
Yeah. Well, I think that it's important to go spend time with other entrepreneurs or wannabe entrepreneurs. Like, and that to some extent is why I understand when young people who are ambitious move to New York, LA, Austin, right? Because those places are magnets for other entrepreneurs, and you can go to the co-working spaces where people are at. We have one here in San Antonio that's been transformative to my life. I've met most of my business partners through a place called Geekdom, which is a tech co-working space designed to like bring all the entrepreneurs across a 3 million person city and put them in one building. And that's been magical for me. Like, as somebody who partners to make things happen, like that's all there. So like I would pursue that. Like, how do you get in the right city? How do you get in the right coffee shops? How do you get in the right co-working space? How do you get in the right network on Twitter, for example, to get exposed to this other stuff? Because Twitter wasn't around like in 1997 for me. Like, I remember graduating college and I did not go to an entrepreneurial style undergrad. Everybody went to go work at like Anderson Consulting and Price Waterhouse and like all this stuff. And they all looked at me and they're like, why didn't you get a job? Like we all did. We're going to Chicago for training. And I'm like, that sounds terrible. That's not me. I'm going to go like figure something else out. So, I think that's ultimately the number one thing. Like, how can you go find that culture of people that are pursuing entrepreneurship, whether it's online or in person, and a combination of that stuff? Like, when you start to catch the entrepreneurship mind virus and you look at these other people and you're like, wait a second, this doofus is making this much money. Like, I could do that. I kind of think that's my number one contribution to San Antonio is they're like, I want San Antonio to be a more entrepreneurial city. And I think part of it is just people look at me and go, wait, that guy did it? Like, I could totally do it. Like, I want to get into entrepreneurship. So that's what I would say is kind of the number one thing. And it has been transformative for me.
You're very much a proponent of kind of getting your hands dirty. Not, I think you had a tweet about not reading the Rockefeller book, which took a little personally because I had to put Titan down. That's right next to me on my desk.
I subtweeted you.
What do you kind of recommend in terms of, do you have specific either business ideas or strategies for that person? Okay, I'm going to go to a city. I'm going to go meet all these people. Should I start an SMB and start washing windows? Should I go the tech route, kind of pick something I'm interested in, get my iterations through, fail at a bunch of stuff? Or do you have a more refined, like, hey, these are some categories where I recommend first-time entrepreneurs test out, their skills?
Yeah. So I think that there's a common misconception where people are like, there is one way and that's the right way. Like, you'll hear you should do a sweaty, SMB first. Oh, like go to San Francisco and do a VC thing. Oh, go get a job first. Like, I think all that's actually wrong. Like, there is no one path, just like most things. And it's this idea that I talk about a lot where people want like entrepreneurship to be like playing Bach, right? Or Mozart gives you the music. And in reality, it's like playing jazz, because the world is changing like all the time. So, I think people should start and invert that lens of saying, okay, like there isn't one path to do this, but let me start with like the life and the person I want to be and just go try some stuff. Right. And if you feel emotionally, like if you had to guess right now, based on what you know, that going to do a high tech startup is the best path for you, like go to the right city and do that, right? Move to Austin, move to San Francisco, move to New York and go make it happen. If you think that maybe you're the right person to go window wash, right? Like go do it, right? Like go to Southern California and like wash people's windows. They'll pay you money for it. Like, I think those are all kind of options. And I think it's a disservice, or maybe just not even a disservice. It's just not deeply thought through if you're like, oh, this is the only one way to like live the right life, right? There's there's just so many different ways, and it's up to you to decide what life you want first, and not for me to say like, oh, you should go start a plumbing company. Like, I don't know, maybe that's for you, but who am I to tell you what to do? Like, I'm not going to do that. Nobody should.